to hear our Pothead Punditry segment, which is going to start right now. It's when the seriousness comes to the Stoner Jesus Show.
Our nation stands on the brink. Every day brings new federal encroachments that take our freedoms and strangle our will. There comes a time when the silliness must take a back seat to the serious issues of the day. The time is now. It's time to fight back and reclaim the freedom that is rightfully ours. It is time to discuss the serious issues of the day with Stoner Jesus's Pothead Punditry.
Yes, first of all, thank you to Taylor_MTPG on Twitter for the song, which is a dubstep remix of the Imperial Death March from, whatever the hell it's called, from Star Wars. It's a very cool song. So we use it for our intro into Pothead Punditry, which was where we talk about the serious issues of the day. Last night in podcast number 64, which I waited to do last night because there was a power outage at the Stoner Jesus Studios Tuesday night, so we didn't get to do our regular Tuesday night show. We did Pothead Punditry last night then, our debut segment of it, and we talked about weed news. So tonight we're going to focus more on world news and political stuff. Of course, the big news of the day, Muammar Gaddafi killed, and I put that word in quotes, because you see the pictures and you see the videos, and it looks like him, but still, there's no way to know. Why should we fucking believe these people? What has Libya, or people in Libya, ever told us that was true? Name one thing. Go look it up. Muammar Gaddafi, this story is from AP News, and from Sirte, or wherever the hell it is, Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, Libya's dictator for 42 years, until he was ousted in an uprising turned civil war, was killed Thursday as revolutionary fighters overwhelmed his hometown of Sirte and captured the last major bastion of resistance 2 months after his regime fell. The 69-year-old Gaddafi is the first leader to be killed in the Arab Spring wave of popular uprisings that swept the Middle East, demanding the end of autocratic rulers and the establishment of greater democracy. Let's stop right there. First of all, things in Libya, much like things in Egypt, are not going to get better. Things in Egypt have actually gotten worse. So all this talk of this Arab Spring and this great, glorious democracy spreading across the Middle East is not happening. It didn't happen in Egypt. It's not going to happen in Libya. There's either going to be some military leaders or some Islamic leaders, and they all have their own form of government control that they're going to impose on these people. That's all these people have ever known, and they can bitch and moan and complain and go to the streets all they want, but they're fucked. The people in Egypt are fucked. They're jailing bloggers and shit in Egypt now for daring to say anything bad about the military tribunal or whatever the fuck that runs the country. And the same shit's going to happen in Libya. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Muammar Gaddafi has been killed, Prime Minister Mahmoud Jibril told a news conference in the capital of Tripoli. Well, obviously, if Mahmoud Jibril says it is true, then it must be true. There's one thing I've learned in my life. Anyone named Mahmoud Jibril from Libya is going to be one of the most trustworthy people you ever meet. There were conflicting accounts about Gaddafi's final hours, with the interim government saying he was captured unarmed and later mortally wounded in the crossfire from both sides. A second account described how he was already wounded in the chest when he was seized and later sustained the other wounds. Interim government officials said one of Gaddafi's sons, his former national security advisor Mutuasim, was also killed in Sirte, and another one-time heir apparent, Saif al-Islam, was wounded and captured. I don't know. I mean, look at the picture right now. It looks like Gaddafi, but of course people like that can have doubles. I mean, it also kind of looks like Gene Simmons. And did Gene Simmons get killed in Libya today? I don't know. Let me go. I just went to the board. Okay. I gotta check my time. The Spreaker likes to throw commercials where we broadcast from. We're being simulcast, of course, on gashouseradio.com. TheDrudgeReport.com has a flashback story of Gaddafi and Obama shaking hands back, of course, when they were buddies. Basically, whoever this was, Gaddafi or Gaddafi double, he was captured, and then he begged the rebels or whatever for his life, and then they gunned him down. Either way, that shit happens all the time over there. People get shot all the time. It's fucking awful. It's an awful place to live. And, I don't know. But, like, everybody gets on TV, like Obama gets on TV and gloats about what a great job he did. He didn't do anything. These people wanted this guy dead, so they killed him. And then when they get pissed off with a new person, and they want them dead, and which they invariably will, because the new person is going to want all the power that Gaddafi had, and is going to want to crush these people and take everything they have. They're going to want to get rid of them and kill them too, and they will. And so on it goes, because that's the culture over there. Let me check gashouseradio.com chat room, because I have not. Yeah, MTBG says I'm going to catch the rest tomorrow on the podcast. He has to go. See you later, MTBG. Thank you. Stone Guy 50 said it's open season on their crude oil. That's basically what it is. Our government gets their oil, and so means the corporations or whatnot, and whoever owns the various politicians, they get the oil. Good for them. Way to go. They spent a lot of money and dropped a lot of bombs, and now they get Libya, whatever good that does. I mean, there's oil and then there's desert. I guess the oil will help, but other than that, in this country, there's some really fucked up shit going on. And this story says from newschannel5.com, Tennessee becomes the first state to fight terrorism statewide. And be careful, first of all, that's bullshit. It's a bullshit title. To fight terrorism. They're not fighting terrorism, they're surveilling the American people. They want to know exactly what you're doing, and where you're going, and what you're up to, and what's in your car, and what you're transporting. And this is how they're going to find out. Story from Portland, Tennessee. You're probably used to seeing the TSA, that's the Transportation Security Administration, the ones who fondle you and grope you and reach down your pants so you can get on a fucking airplane and give you anal cavity searches. And if you're a chick with big tits, they rub them and pinch them and make you ask you to go to another room and remove your bra or whatever in case you're carrying bombs instead of tits. You may be used to seeing their signature blue uniforms at the airport, but now agents are hitting the interstates to fight terrorism with the Visible Intermodal Prevention and Response, VIPER. Where is a terrorist more apt to be found? Not these days on an airplane, more likely on the interstate, said Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security Commissioner Bill Gibbons. You know where terrorists are more likely to be found? In an apartment somewhere. Maybe the TSA should search every fucking apartment there is. Just go door to door looking for terrorists. Because God fucking knows they gotta find these people. Because not a goddamn thing has happened in this country in 10 years. Because nobody cares. There's not a terrorist cell capable of doing major damage to this country. They knocked down 2 towers and whatever, crashed into the Pentagon. We kept going. We have our memorials, but we forget as the years go by. Anyway, Tuesday, Tennessee was the first to deploy VIPER simultaneously at 5 way stations and 2 bus stations across the state. So that means there's going to be more states doing this. Not only truck drivers, but cars, everybody should be aware of what's going on the road, said Rudy Gonzalez, who is the first... See, agents are recruiting truck drivers like Rudy Gonzalez into the first Observer Highway Security Program to say something if they see something. So basically, he's a snitch who's going to watch people, and if he thinks he sees something going on, he's going to report them, and that will give them probable cause to search any fucking buddy they want. They can say, hey, one of our snitches pointed you out. We got to go to your trunk and see what's going on. It's all meant to urge every driver to call authorities if they see something suspicious. And that's one of the... yeah. That's one of the tenets of collectivism and totalitarianism when it comes to the country, whatever country it comes to, getting people to rat each other out and turn on each other so that they can't come together to fight whatever tyranny the government has planned for them, or whoever controls the government. It's getting bad. There's a ton of this shit going on. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Paul A. Arms, TSA Federal Security Director of Nashville International Airport, said somebody sees something somewhere, and we want them to be responsible citizens. Report that and let us work through it, our processes, to abet the concern that they had when they saw something suspicious. Isn't that fucking dandy? They're going to have fucking checkpoints everywhere. They can search you anytime they want to see what you got going on. The Tennessee Highway Patrol checked trucks with drug and bomb-sniffing dogs during random inspections. Random inspections? They can check your fucking truck with drug and bomb-sniffing dogs. Where's that in the Constitution?
Jesus Christ.
What happened to illegal searches and seizures and all that bullshit? The bottom line is this. If you see something suspicious, say something about it, Gibbons said Tuesday. The random inspections really aren't any more thorough, normal, according to Tennessee Highway Patrol Colonel Tracy Trott, who says paying attention to details can make a difference. Trott pointed out it was an Oklahoma State trooper who stopped Timothy McVeigh for not having a license plate after the Oklahoma City bombing in the early 1990s. Well, hot damn. They solved one fucking crime 16 years ago, and that's the basis for all this bullshit. Tuesday's statewide Viper operation isn't in response to any particular threat, according to officials. So they just want to search you, is what it's in response to. And we'll see what the fuck's going on. Let me check the Gas House Radio chat room, see what people are thinking. They don't like the Spreaker commercials. They're very abrupt. But most of them are cut out during the podcast phase, so that's why I just let them go and just go, talking afterwards. What else we got going on? The Occupy protests are going on in cities all over the world. What I wanted to look for real quick while I was thinking of it, if those of you who don't listen to the Alex Jones radio program, I do, as do millions of other people, but he said he's going to post a video. He got stopped last night at one of these checkpoints, and hopefully he put the video up. I don't know. We'll see. But he says he got stopped at one of these checkpoints, and he had videotape. So far I'm not seeing it. No. But anyway, he said it was a very hostile encounter, and he said his wife was pissed off and started screaming at the officials. They were asking him if he had drugs on him, and he said that it's well known that the people bringing most of the drugs into this country are actually government officials, or relating it to happen. And he said all of the border officials or whatever just smiled at him, and he talked about how fucking creepy it was, the way these people are. They're not for us. They're not fighting for us. They are our enemies in many cases. They contribute to prohibition, keeps them their bribes or whatever going in their pockets, and so they can let the drugs from the Mexican cartels into this country. And then they can bitch and moan about, oh, we need to do more, we need more agents, and we need more border crackdown. They're not cracking down on shit. They let through whatever the fuck they want to let through. You can have 1 million border agents down there, and if 800,000 of them are bribed, it doesn't matter. See what we got here. New radar can see through walls. Holy shit.
Oh, God.
I mean, this fucking shit is never ending, man. MIT develops new radar technology. Military can see through walls. And of course, once the military has it, then the government has it, and, Looking through walls is no longer something we read about in comic books or watch in Superman movies. The MIT Lincoln Laboratory has presented new radar technology that would allow humans to see through a solid wall. Isn't that fucking awesome? That's just the last thing the government needs. You imagine the cops driving down the street with their little radar pointed out the fucking window and their little camera. Yeah, and watch you do whatever you're doing. And anything you're doing that they might consider illegal, they can then kick in your door and say, oh, we saw you. The device is 8.5 feet long, the story continues. It consists of an array of antennae arranged in 2 rows, including 8 signal receiving elements. I don't care about all that shit. It fucking sees through walls. All this equipment is mounted onto a movable cart that can stand at a range 15 to 40 feet from the location you're observing. 40 feet! That's easily, for most people who live in cities especially, is much less than 40 feet from a cop car to your front fucking door. Researcher and leader of the project, Dr. Gregory Charvet, tells ABC News the technology was conceived with the notion that it would be used by U.S. soldiers during wartime. And of course that would be awesome. The U.S. soldiers are going into a hostile area, and they can see through walls, and they can see some little fucking person with a gun or whatever, and they just blow that fucking house up without having to worry about it. But that's not all it's going to be used for, and we know that. And it goes on to say how the device works. Again, I don't give a shit. Only moving images can be detected, so an image such as a couch or non-moving appliance would not show up on the monitor. Yeah, it's just you and your bowl. Or you and your wife doing whatever you're doing. Images appear as red blobs moving about the screen, and it looks as the image would be away and across from the actual radar. I don't know what the fuck that means. The researchers are currently working on a detection algorithm that will convert these red blobs into a cleaner image. Yes, we got to know exactly what's going on. It has to be like watching TV. You just sit there with your little radar and watch people in their house. Fucking Christ, man. I don't know. I just don't know what the fuck's going on.
That's the world, man.
It's crazy. Hey, here's no. Tax funded electric car gets worse mileage than an SUV. They can't get those fucking electric cars right, man. It's all bullshit. And then they're so much more expensive. Anyway, Ron Paul drops $2 million in new TV ads to criticize rivals. Fucking A. From Associated Press, Republican presidential contender Ron Paul is opening his wallet for $2 million of television ads that criticize rivals Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Herman Cain for supporting federal spending while touting his own proposal for drastically shrinking Washington's bottom line. Paul on Thursday unveiled a 60-second ad that cast the White House hopefuls as spend-happy politicians who are not true conservatives. A second ad, also set to run in 2 weeks, in the early nominating states of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada, promotes Paul's plans to cut $1 trillion from the budget, eliminate 5 cabinet-level agencies, and stop spending U.S. tax dollars abroad on wars or aid. Further seeking to criticize his rivals, Paul's campaign has been mailing voters saying Romney, Perry, and Representative Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota are beholden to unions. The sad truth is, Dr. Paul's opponents have records that leave much to be desired, the campaign said in an anti-labor mailing in South Carolina. What's that? Fucking pop-up ad. Paul, a physician who previously sought the Libertarian and Republican nominations for the White House, has tapped his fervent supporters' imaginations and wallets as he attempts to claw his way to the top of the GOP contest. His latest fundraising push brought in more than $2.3 million in recent days. His campaign earlier announced that he had raised $8 million during the last 3 months and had banked $3.5 million for the fundraising quarter that started October 1st. As I said before, and I will say again, the only people I'm going to vote for are either Ron Paul or Gary Johnson. If they're not running against Obama, I don't give a fuck. I'm not voting. It's fucking enough, man. It's just enough. We're fed up with what the fuck is going on out there. And Obama and all the other motherfuckers, Mitt Romney, they're all fucking puppets. Herman Cain. It's all a joke. It's a big fucking joke. Let me go to Infowars.com. See what kind of stories they got going on there. They always have pretty good shit that they can find. Of course, if I could spell it right, I would be able to go there. Ha! Second time's a charm. Let me go again, check the Gas House Radio. Stone Guy 850 says he's voting for Ron Paul. Absolutely. Fucking A. What we got going on here? A senator says the TSA forced me to go through a body scanner. Republican Senator Orrin Hatch was forced to go through a TSA naked body scanner against his will, according to testimony heard at the Senate Judiciary Committee yesterday, as lawmakers complained to DHS head Janet Napolitano about the baloney Americans were forced to put up with at the hands of arrogant TSA screeners. Despite the TSA's official policy stating that travelers can select whether to pass through the radiation-firing body scanner or take an enhanced pat-down, Utah Senator Hatch told Napolitano during the hearing that he wasn't offered the choice. Senator Orrin G. Hatch, Utah Republican, raised the issue, saying he's been forced twice to go through the scanning machines when he would preferred another method of screening, reports the Washington Times. Maybe I look like a terrorist, Hatch joked sardonically. Those of you who don't know who Orrin Hatch is, he looks like a Utah senator, a white guy. Hatch also said that he has witnessed TSA screeners force other travelers to go through the naked body scanner when they had expressed a wish to pass through the standard X-ray metal detector instead. Vermont Democrat and committee chairman Patrick J. Leahy complained that the TSA screeners were punishing travelers who rejected the body scanner, stating, "Sometimes you get the impression they almost want to make you miss your plane because you have to go through the pat-down." Leahy went further, telling Napolitano the TSA workers had an arrogant disregard for real Americans who have to put up with this baloney. That's strong words coming from a senator. It's fucking baloney, man. And we're disconnected from reality while also criticizing the fact that children have to pass through the radiation scanners. You know, what kind of fucking damage is that doing? If they're bombarding you with fucking microwave rays or whatever so they can see if you have a bomb. Let me see. Some other stories. They have the little Big Brother section here. FBI ramps up next generation ID rollout. That's another thing that they want to do. They want everybody to have IDs. And preferably your ID will have shit in it to where they can track you. But they'll work up to that. NextGov.com is reporting that the FBI will begin rolling out its next generation identification facial recognition service as early as this January. Once NGI is fully deployed, and once each of its approximately 100 million records also includes photographs, it will become trivially easy to find and track Americans. As we detailed in an earlier post, NGI expands the FBI's IAFIS criminal and civil fingerprint database to include multimodal biometric identifiers such as iris scans, palm prints, photos, and voice data. The Bureau is planning on introducing each of these capabilities in phases over the next 2.5 years. Despite the FBI's claims to the contrary, NGI will result in a massive expansion of government data collection for both criminal and non-criminal purposes. IAFIS is already the largest biometric database in the world and includes 70 million subjects in the criminal master file and more than 31 million civil fingerprints. Even if there are duplicate entries or some overlap between civil and criminal records, the combined number of records covers close to 1/3 of the population of the United States. When NGI allows photographs and other biometric identifiers to be linked to each of those records, all easily searchable through sophisticated search tools, it will have an unprecedented impact on Americans' privacy interests. Of course it will, because that's the point. That's really been the theme of all these fucking stories, in one way or the other. Let's see. What else is going on? Yeah, there's the TSA Viper highway inspections. I guess he hasn't posted that video yet. That's a shame. Because that would be pretty cool to play. Not much going on here. There was another story that I wanted to talk about before we end Pothead Punditry. And let me go check my time. Okay, we're doing good. It was about federal workers in Washington, D.C. and how much money they make. And now I can't find it. It's got to be in here somewhere. There we go. Members of Congress and federal employees are living the high life at our expense. If you were asked to guess, what area of the United States would you say has the highest average income? New York City, Los Angeles, Silicon Valley? Well, would you believe that is actually the Washington, D.C. area? Median household income in the region is $84,523, which is the highest in the nation. One of the biggest reasons for this are the huge salaries being pulled down by federal employees in the Washington, D.C. area. According to the latest numbers, the average federal employee in the D.C. area brings in a total compensation worth more than $126,000 a year. Of course, members of Congress are doing far better than that. Most of the members of Congress are millionaires, and somehow the vast majority of our politicians leave Washington, D.C. far wealthier than when they arrived. You know when that happens. So if you want to live the high life, you might want to move to Washington, D.C. area. Our representatives in Congress and the bureaucrats that work for the federal government are swimming in cash, and it is all at our expense. Before you read the following facts, or in your case hear the following facts, keep in mind that median household income in the United States has declined for 3 years in a row. It's the Obama economic recovery. While the bureaucrats in D.C. are living the high life, most of the rest of us are going to go through some really hard times. Today, median household income in the United States is about $50,000 a year, and in most families, both parents have to work or the bills will not get paid. So it does not seem right that the average federal worker in the Washington, D.C. area is hauling down more than $126,000 a year in total compensation. After all, are they not supposed to be public servants? Instead, it feels like we are serving them. They get to drive around their shiny new cars, and they get to enjoy their shiny new McMansions in the D.C. suburbs, while the rest of us pay for it. According to the Washington Post, the Washington, D.C. area has become a great place for those that enjoy living the dream. Washingtonians now enjoy the highest median household income of any metropolitan area in the country, and 5 of the top 10 jurisdictions in America, Loudoun, Howard, and Fairfax counties, and Falls Church and Fairfax City, are here. Census data shows. The sign of that wealth are on display all over, from the string of luxury boutiques such as Gucci and Tory Burch, opening at Tyson's Galleria, to the $15 cocktails served over artisanal ice at the W Hotel in the district, to the ever larger houses rising off River Road in Potomac. All this wealth did not get created because the D.C. area is a great center for industry or finance. Rather, all these people are becoming very wealthy because of our big, fat, bloated federal government. See, there's a couple. They got some facts here too. In 2005, over 7,000 federal workers were making $150,000 or more. In 2010, a whopping 82,000 federal workers were making $150,000 or more per year. That's more than a tenfold increase in just 5 years. In 2005, the U.S. Department of Defense had just 9 civilians earning $170,000 or more. When Barack Obama took office, the Department of Defense had 214 civilians earning $170,000 or more. In June 2010, the U.S. Department of Defense had 994 civilians earning $170,000 or more. Last year, federal employees earned approximately $447 billion in total compensation. And it goes on and on. There's fucking no need for it. Most of these people, most of their jobs, their so-called jobs, are useless or redundant or whatever. It's just a fucking, I don't know. Sometimes it just seems like there's no point. But of course there is. There's always a point in what we got going on here. There's a point of moving forward. There's a point in fighting these motherfuckers who think they own us. And well, I mean, and I guess in some ways they do. But we can change that, is my fucking point. Through segments like this, through Facebook and Twitter and all of the tools we have at our disposal. That's the thing. Back in the day, as the kids say, they didn't have a lot of this shit. They could get out there and they could protest, but nobody cared. When the hippies were protesting, the government still decided to do whatever the fuck they wanted, and it took them another 6 years to get out of Vietnam anyway, because they didn't care about the hippies or what they wanted. We have the internet now, which they're trying to control, but so far, we at least have the freedom in that. We can say what we want on the internet, and we can organize, but they'll go after that next, and I'll be here to report on it, because that's part of what we do here. Like I said, there's a time for silliness. We have plenty of that, and all that's good. And then there's a time for talking about the serious issues of the day, and that is why we have the Pothead Punditry segment that we're going to start putting on the YouTube channel. And we've already started doing that on the Stoner Jesus. It's the Stoner Jesus 420 on YouTube. You can check that shit out. And we'll start posting. We already did post the Pothead Punditry first one on there. This was the second episode, segment, whatever. We'll be back after this on the Stoner Jesus Show Live, podcast number 65.